So the first idea of the communication was to do a Trojan horse on Facebook, try to speak about a relevant and salient fact about what's going on right now on politics globally. One is that the recent news on the 29 million accounts that got its entire data history exposed speak of the kind of architecture of the internet that is falling apart. And that's the architecture of centralized systems that keep ultimately control over our own identities. It is the most salient bug of Facebook is the incredible exposure that it has given over our own private information. So we are going through this massive change around identity, around how we control our identity in the digital world, in the information spectrum, as we are also becoming a more connected species through the use of digital networks in our everyday life. And that gives rise to the role of how we engage with these networks politically. Whereas if we really understand what happened in the last election in the United States, it is one huge question about the relevance of social media in the outcome of political campaigns. It's not a matter of if the Russians intervened in Facebook or didn't intervene in Facebook. It's something that factually happened. Facebook was the relevant driver of propaganda. And propaganda encompasses everything: misinformation and information. It's both truth and lies. And blockchains, like a friend of mine says, Nikos, who's in my view the reincarnation of Plato, he says that a blockchain is a straight line across a nebula. And that's what it's trying to achieve by developing trust. Trust is usually something that needs as a carrier a very low entropy system, so novelty, high entropy, can be properly discerned. And blockchains in that sense are a new way that we have to create systems able to compute with truth. Or how to develop a consensus around the events that happen in a decentralized way about history, about political events, economical events. So I am branching out from the agenda, but I wanted to make this moment really special. And I like that we've been spontaneous, open source. We effed up with the first thing because we didn't know how exactly screen sharing works on Facebook, but it's okay. We're here to tell Facebook something, and we'll try to measure if Facebook is listening. By the way, Randy Zuckerberg, she's really great. She was very kind to invite us to her radio show. Fantastic show, by the way. I'm now become a listener. But anyway, about Facebook. We are Trojan horsing, and if you've been hearing anything of what I've been saying for the last couple of minutes, we are going to be sharing some of the new stuff being built by democracy.earth. A lot of things to talk about. I actually have a presentation planned about, in a more entrepreneurial and formal way, to describe like the recent accomplishments of our organization. What do you think about that talk?
I have like the screenshots.
Okay.
That maybe we can show in my computer.
Okay, we have screenshots. When they put a spaceship in, what was it? Was it in Mars? The first thing that someone said when the spaceship gave its first picture of what it saw, it said, "We have thumbnails."
We have screenshots.
And thumbnails was when it was the preview of the picture, the size of the thumb. We have thumbnails. Okay. So this is the new version of Democracy Earth. It's a version that we're going to be launching on November 15th. November 15, 2018, we're going to be launching on the domain democracy.earth. So far, we have been using vote.democracy.earth for our testnet version. That testnet version has 1,400 users. It has an average of 3.8 transactions per day. So we've been learning a lot with the community there on this private alpha that we have been running. And now we're going to be releasing in our main domain, in democracy.earth, the domain itself. And the most important thing about what we're trying to say here is that we are launching the product before doing the token sale. Like, we are going live with an actual product. We are not doing the white paper token sale and eventually deliver on a promise, but we are trying to ship since before doing the token sale or product or new token-enabled version of Sovereign. The token-enabled version of Sovereign has a couple of qualities. I'm going to be sharing this again soon. So a screenshot here. It is multi-token. We're not going to be doing a platform for doing DAOs or governing communities with our token exclusively. We are actually supporting every single token that is ERC20 compatible running on an EVM blockchain or EVM compatible blockchain, which is a beautiful euphemism for Ethereum. So that's the first thing. We are aiming to a product launch token enabled, not just our token, but every single token that runs on top of Ethereum. This is the new version of Sovereign that will be live on democracy.earth. And it's an application. Here's another screenshot. Again, sorry for the low resolution. We're going to be sharing this on social media. This is just another screenshot. It's very like Hacker News-like, in the sense that it's a very simple application. It doesn't look for complexity. But we bring together two patterns that we identify as the most relevant patterns in social media. And I think that when I'm going to say this, a lot of you are going to agree. One is ask me anything. Ask me anything is a fantastic pattern in social media. And ask me anything is a pattern that thrived on Reddit, did a fantastic job on Reddit in order to centralize questions on a single subject or to a single being. So the threaded view of Reddit that allowed for the format of Ask Me Anything is an extraordinary pattern of social media, very compatible to a very important aspect of democracy, that is deliberation. The other element is the Twitter-like format. We looked into like real-time feeds from the web architecture of the application. It's an application actually designed to work as a chat. It's that fast. It can. We used like software libraries that were built to use big chat applications. So it's actually real-time like that in terms of like Twitter, where you immediately write and post and has like an infinite scroll and all of that. So identify those as the main patterns for the social media-like behavior that needs to happen for deliberation to flourish in a democratic environment. Democracy Earth, what it's trying to figure out is how political transactions look like on blockchains. What identity means on blockchains, because all political transactions, and especially voting, require a consensus around identity. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the technical aspects of what is our view for a blockchain-based democracy. So we published in the past two papers, really. In 2017, let me show you here. There we go. In 2017, we published the social smart contract paper, and in 2018, the token economics paper. You can show it out to the Twitter crowd. So in both papers, we address from I would say the social smart contract is a has more political connotations. It's a paper written from that perspective because it came from the experience of the Partido de la Red, among other things, engaging in real politics in Argentina and trying to understand how that connected to the digital side of things, and taking first steps to understand what identity meant on blockchains, describing the birth certificate of my daughter, which was an interesting also exercise of figuring out, how we can encode identity on this type of networks. And the token economics is something probably more friendlier for those who are into token development on the on decentralized networks and blockchain-based networks. So it tries to describe our idea of what should be the fundamental economic incentives that should be pursued by a token that aims to deliver, at the end of the day, infrastructure for democracy to happen anywhere in the planet. And in order to have that, you need to develop a consensus around the individual voters, the identities that get the right to participate in a network. And if we want to make the system something that is in the control of human hands, then that consensus must be a persisting question around whether or not you are human. Because these networks get played out by artificial intelligences and bots. That's actually what happens when a corporation takes over, like Facebook, that took over the web. So you need to develop a consensus on singular humans that we need to prove that they are humans, that they are alive. There needs to be a proof of that. There are some known techniques to deliver that. And the second thing is that through these networks, through the implementation of democracy, we also need to make sure that no single human has the keys of an existing identity. This is what is known in computer science as a civil attack, which is a term coined by a Microsoft researcher that figured out how in decentralized systems, the biggest risk is an identity that holds the keys to many identities without the system acknowledging that one identity is controlling the many identities. It's a state of confusion. So, yes, we have more comments. Please retweet and share.
So how has your approach to verifying identity changed since you released the paper? Are you planning on using one specific blockchain or project for this?
So,
we're doing our own.
Let's go to the presentation. That's a great thing for me to jump into what I was really trying to tell today. If you are still here enjoying this, thank you for being there. This is kind of like radio also. The idea is to share the latest news of democracy.earth. When we have been working, we're pretty excited about stuff that we're launching. We're doing this on Facebook just to replicate the spirit of the Trojan battle, and on Twitter. Those who are over there are on Twitter. So I'm gonna keep on going here. This is the next slide. The vote token. We're introducing the ERC20 vote token. And then I'm gonna give 3 reasons for this, why we're doing this. The very first one is that any project related to democracy needs as many stakeholders as possible, because that's democracy. That's democracy. You need to have as many stakeholders as possible. So if we start working on democracy, we do this project in isolation, and we pretend we know democracy, then the project is not fulfilling its promise. Do you agree, Paul?
I agree.
Paula agrees, which is a very high bar. Paula agrees. So we need as many stakeholders as possible. As simple as that. That's core to the, we're going to be constituting whatever network operates at the beginning, I guess, on the democracy.earth domain, but we're actually now deploying our network in other networks we announced our Blockstack partnership last week, which is huge. I'm going to jump into the Blockstack partnership. I have it in the presentation. That's a huge thing. I'm sending my best to my friends Ryan, Patrick, Jude, Sam. Those guys, they are the Beatles of crypto in New York. They're a pretty cool team. But democracy needs multiple stakeholders. The second aspect is that the second aspect of why we are doing an ERC20 vote token, and we're going to label it vote. We don't give, we like standard concepts. We like default sounding concepts. Democracy, Earth, vote. Just go for open, standards on everything. The second aspect is that political transactions, at the end of the day, carry value. Political transactions carry value. It's what separates a survey from an election. And surveys are not hitting. They're completely missing everything out. And elections keep surprising. So it's real information, the election, versus the speculation on the information. And real information is valuable stuff. It's valuable stuff. I'm looking at you, Paul. Do you agree? So political transactions need to carry value. We said democracy needs as many stakeholders as possible, and political transactions must carry value. And the last aspect relates to we have a long-term vision of implementing universal basic income with this. And we're going to share some ideas on how we can expect this to happen using blockchain-based networks and being creative about what it can be built using smart contracts these days. So I just introduced the ERC 20 that we're going to be launching. We're going to be doing effectively a token sale open for everyone. I'm going to be providing some details about that. It's going to be an open-ended token sale. We are here for the long term. We're here, we're going to be implementing this token also using the best technology that is out there to build smart contracts on Ethereum. I'm thinking of our friends of Zeppelin now, who are a brilliant team that are doing the best on-chain dependencies operating using blockchain-based networks that are fueling the logic of governance in this type of networks. We're also going to be doing an ERC, and we mentioned this in our token economics paper, an ERC 725. And I'm going to introduce you the idea of ERC 725. An ERC 725 is also an Ethereum standard created by the same guy that did ERC20s. I want to remember, he has a complex last name. I think his name is Paul B, something like that. Brilliant guy. He also went for the ERC 725 standard, which is connected to identity. It's like a non-fungible in the sense that it's not, ERC20s are fungible, are exchangeable tokens that you can trade, and so they can have properties like money. Money is a fungible, tradable asset. Non-fungibles are collectibles, something that are unique, that can have intrinsic value and are not easily duplicated or cannot be duplicated. We're getting a lot of questions. Are we getting questions over there?
Do you still plan on conducting attention mining?
Wow, that's a
great one.
That's a great question. That's a question that someone read of the whole paper, and thanks for that. Attention, I think it's definitely the currency being captured by the behemoths of the internet. Google and Facebook, 97% of the revenue comes from advertising, and that means that they're getting eyeballs, and that's what leads to the creation of media dominance. And so attention is already this incredible thing that was captured by the internet and by the computation and by digital screens. The matter for us is how we are able to build the consensus that is able to mint ERC-725 identity. So think of the ERC-725 as your passport. The very first way that we're going to be generating this passport, we need to mint these identities through a democratic consensus. And this question is so on spot. We need to mint these identities through a democratic consensus. Now, this democratic consensus...
We're getting lots of hearts to that on Twitter.
Okay. We're getting lots of hearts, that's good. So a democratic consensus matters because the question that we're going to be asking in our protocol is the very first question: are you human or not? It's just voting on that idea for every applicant that submits a proof of life. Some, we suggest video because you need to process video today still more with human intelligence than with machine intelligence. But whatever is able to require that the entity evaluating the proof is alive. So why do we need to do this? Because an artificial intelligence only recognizes patterns. Only a human can acknowledge another human. That's the one frontier that we are gliding, that we're drawing. Machine and human. Human and machine. If we need to make a distributed system that is going to serve the humans and not Facebook, the machine, the man, then we need to build a system where the consensus, the rough consensus, how some like to say to pretend that they are cool, man, but the consensus needs to have this human witnessing element, the attention mining in the paper.
Someone asked, how will any decisions made within the platform be enforced? You mentioned that votes need to have value, but it seems to me that the value is currently derived by force. What makes political entities care at all what people vote on your platform?
Excellent question. Well, I think there's a different kind of force that you can impose through the use of what is considered a weapon, cryptography. Like after the Second World War, when the Nazis were beaten through the use of Turing's machines that were able to decrypt the Enigma and give strategic advantage to the Allies, encryption has been considered a weapon. And the thing about encryption, unlike other weapons, it's an inherently defensive weapon. So you use it always in anticipation, instead of like an offensive weapon where you trigger an attack. So the enforcement question goes to the nature of the way that we are going to be storing the resolution of conflict or ideas being debated in our platform. We're going to be using the nature of what blockchains permit, and blockchains are massive encryption engines that build a consensus around who are the owners of a public-private key combination. So I think that when we speak about enforcement, we usually speak it in these terms. We say that we're going to be structuring simply smart contracts that the decisions triggered by the outcome of an election, when it reaches like the criteria of quorum, the criteria of individual voters, or the criteria of tokens, all of those can be combined in a smart contract. Then it can trigger either cryptocurrency transactions, unlock funds, and the fact that money has already been subverted by blockchain-based technology and that we can effectively execute decisions using cryptocurrency already solved the hardest part of the puzzle. The matter now is how we make something that makes the control over these networks democratic. It's as simple as that. How we make a force that makes the control of these networks democratic. This is take note. Paulinia, take note. How we make control blockchain-based networks democratic. That's the goal of what we're trying to achieve. We are the force that wants to keep it democratic. You just look at the debates happening on crypto Twitter. Just look at some of the crazy ideas being put out there. If you believe that these networks should have an expression of democratic consensus, then we are trying to crack that part of the nut, because we have been putting special emphasis not on what we're telling everyone today, but on what we have been executing. Our repositories are 100% open source, entirely available on GitHub. Our everything that we put out there has copyleft. Everything is built using open standards and open technologies. We're working with the networks that have the largest amount of distributed consensus. We are definitely looking into stuff like Lightning, as it has tremendous potential to increase the velocity of valuable transactions, and these obviously include political transactions as well. So we're close to the team of Lightning here in New York. What else?
Someone is asking, will it be possible to create independent groups inside the platform, or run it on its own server to use it for a dedicated community?
Well, this is the next thing I want to share with you guys. Our first big partnership with Blockstack. There it says Democracy Earth, Blockstack. This is our first implementation. We're going to be governing over a subsidy of the Blockstack network to the developers of their blockchain, of dApps over Blockstack. This is $100,000 every month on BTC, that we're going to be contributing the votes of the community to how allocate those funds through their app mining program. So if you're a Blockstack dApp developer and you are part of the platform and the community votes for you, then you get a bigger share of the $100,000 that they will be reimbursing the dApp developers of Blockstack every month. And Blockstack is one of the most promising dApp networks out there. So we're pretty happy about this. And we are planning to actually pursue this need in the industry, in crypto, governing platforms that can really bring and order the voice of the community, and that has a simple user interface, and is able to operate with the tokens that these networks run on. Definitely need something that helps them to approach the user experience of governance. So that's why our platform is multi-token. You're going to be able to run any token, including like decentralized Mana, Zeppelin, RCN, Augur. We're going to be deploying Democracy Earth, democracy.earth live on November 15th. That's when we're going to be launching our product. Token enabled, we're going to be able to operate with all tokens on the Ethereum network. And we're going to be launching our ERC20 token, the vote token, later on. I think December 1st is going to probably be the launch date for the token sale, and it's going to be an open token sale for our ERC20 token. We're going to be issuing a total of 100 million tokens, hard cap, and we have already done a pre-sale this year. We did it in February. This is what had led us to this moment. So we're pretty thankful to all of the investors that we had on the pre-sale. It was a fantastic experience for us. We learned a lot in the process of what it means to build an organization able to do something like this in the United States, which is also a very heavily regulated environment. So we are, I think, also demonstrating how compliant we are. We are doing our token sale with two great companies, by the way, CoinList and CoinFabric. CoinList, they did a couple of the largest ICOs in the US. They did the Filecoin ICO, the Blockstack ICO, where they are offering, they are doing for us the compliance. So they are verifying that every single investor, making sure they have the legal rights to invest in the US, which is a heavily regulated market. And with CoinFabric, we are doing the implementation of the token sale software itself. Great company. They have done incredible, contributing incredible projects like RSK, the Jax wallet, and the brilliant developers from Argentina.
Do you want to tell everyone about our special early access?
So we're doing, Paula here is helping me out with the script for today. We're doing an early access to the app. You have to register on the app on democracy.earth, our website, democracy.earth. You should register there before November 2nd. Before November 2nd. If you register before November 2nd, we're gonna be
New early access. It's a surprise.
Paula wants to keep it as a surprise. Okay, we'll trust Paula's judgment for it to be a surprise, but it's a cool thing. It's a pretty cool thing. But yes, you have to register on democracy.earth before November 2nd. So this is us right now. This is like some numbers about Democracy Earth. This is the size of our community. We have 15,000 subscribers, 2,500 Slack members, 1,000 GitHub stars, a little bit more than 1,000, 1.1, actually probably more, 11,000 Twitter followers. It's a fantastic community. It's really growing very fast. I think that the interest on crypto is starting to arise questions related to governance. Governance is the main topic being debated on. Yes, I'm going to be at DevCon 4. Thanks, Sandra, for that. I'm going to be at DevCon 4 next week in Prague. So come there, say hi. We are, in every place where the conversation is around governance, the killer app is democracy. It's been that app since Greek times because it's the natural question. It's a natural question. How do we make a system that is able to include everyone? How do we make a system that has that financial incentive, inclusion of everyone? That's democracy. That's the challenge. That's what we need to figure out together. What we're trying to do with a token sale is not really the pursuit of mere speculation in the short term. Otherwise, we would have tried to raise money last year when it was completely crazy. Now we're in the most bear market. It's the moment of real believers. Ethereum, it's raised on a bear market. So the financial joke aside, what we're trying to do here is create this endeavor with as many stakeholders as possible. That's what needs to happen. And we're building a mechanism around the token that is trying to build a consensus on the individual participants of the network itself by making sure that they are human. And we believe that we need to do this through the use of attention by making the protocol democratic in the sense that you have to vote as a human participant, and the network will reward the proofs that are valid of singular human participants. This resource can lead to tremendous service to all networks in the space of the internet, on cyberspace. And I'm gonna quote John Perry Barlow. I'm gonna quote John Perry Barlow. If you folks don't know who John Perry Barlow is, he's a lyricist of the Grateful Dead, and cyberpunk extraordinaire. And in 1996, at Davos, it was why a lyricist of the Grateful Dead was at Davos, really makes me think. In 1996, and he wrote there a declaration of independence, of the independence of cyberspace. A declaration of the independence of cyberspace. I'm going to start with the beginning. The beginning is incredible. He says, governments of the industrial world, governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel, I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone, to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather. This is like, he begins like that. This is an extraordinary piece of literature. It ends with, we will create a civilization of the mind in cyberspace. May it be more humane, more humane. And I'm going to stop it right there and address my friend Matt Travisano. Matt, he's the founder of Whipson, very cool company in the space, also trying to hijack Facebook by monetizing your data from Facebook. Check it out. And Matt told me on Twitter the other day, enough with the humanists. Humanism is dead. No, man. John Perry Barlow, a Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace, he ends it. We will create a civilization of the mind in cyberspace. May it be more humane and fair than the world your governments have made before. John Perry Barlow, 1996. He highlights the human aspect of this, because otherwise we're in control of the AIs. Like, you know, they've been trying to censor us today. We don't care, man. Thanks everyone who joined. If you're gonna be on DEFCON 4, I'm gonna be there. You know, feel free. Sign up for the release, democracy.earth, before November 2. Before November 2, sign up for the release. We're gonna be launching our token-enabled version of Sovereign, which has been under development for a couple of years now. It's going live. It's going live. I think it's probably officially a beta, because alphas are private, betas are public. So it's gonna be a beta version on democracy.earth. We're gonna switch the main domain to the app, and it's gonna be multi-token. It's gonna support every token, every ERC20. At least we're gonna start with that standard. And we are issuing the vault token, an ERC20 that helps mint ERC725s, which is a standard for identity. And we're gonna be doing the token sale very soon, December 1st, God willing, like they say in Argentina. And yeah, we're very excited about this. We're very happy to share this with you, our friends. Spread the word. So the first idea of the communication was to do a Trojan horse on Facebook, try to speak about a relevant and salient fact about what's going on right now on politics globally. One is